Hi, my name is Ted Finch, and I'm going to show you some of the reasons why, if you're a reseller, you want to make sure you create a landing page for your vendor's product. And if you're a vendor, you want to make sure that you create that landing page for them and help them out and use that as a sample. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some things that we all sort of take for granted. If I come over here into a browser and I type in, let's say, pizza. So I just type in pizza here. Notice that I just typed in pizza. I didn't say pizza where. But yet down below, you can see that it's finding pizza locations that are actually pretty close to where I'm located at. And now how does it do that? Once I've actually selected one location, oftentimes your browser will come up and say, can I use your location? Once you've selected yes, your browser has pegged that, for example, in my case, that I'm actually in Austin, Texas. So the reason why it's doing that is because it's assuming that if you're searching for some of these businesses, you want to find someone local. So local business has an advantage. Now let's come up here and type in CRM and let's see what's happened with any of the CRM vendors out there. If they've set up any of their resellers where their resellers are leveraging that local advantage. So if I'm in Austin, Texas, I type in CRM and I can see that I've got my AdWords on the top. And then we have our organic searches. Now, just so you know, 72% of your visitors will actually click on the organic link before they'll click any of these AdWords. So we see Salesforce here. We also see Wikipedia. We also see Microsoft Dynamics. We see HubSpot, Capterra. But we have yet to see over here a single reseller. And so it means that these channel managers have not done a very good job with their resellers, and their resellers have not done a very good job at all in trying to pick up local traffic. They didn't understand how this process worked, so they didn't create a localized search engine page. Again, it's still pegging that we're in Austin, Texas, but it's not finding anybody for a local advantage. Would it work with services like that? Yes. For example, I have a friend who's a divorce attorney, and I'll type this in and I'll show you again that it knows exactly where you're sitting. So I type in divorce attorney and notice that it is showing my local divorce attorneys. Of course, my friend hated this field and he got out of the business. But at the same time, you can sort of see that this is only showing me those attorneys that are the closest to me. They've got an inside track advantage. So as a reseller partner, we want to make sure that all the partners have that advantage from a local search criteria. So let's see how this works a little differently. We're going to come over to another browser and I'm going to type in anti-phishing software. Okay. In this case, though, I'm going to force it to a city where I know that there's a reseller that's got a landing page that's already set up. This one happens to be in Mumbai. Okay, so I type that in. And so here we have, of the different ones that are listed there, right here on the very top, the first one on the very top of all of this for anti-phishing software in Mumbai is one called Ambusher. This is the reseller that has got their website optimized. And here's what they've got it optimized for is best anti-phishing software. In this particular case, it's actually for India. So it's surprising me that if you're in India, you have an inside advantage by doing this. But it really worked. We actually pulled it up for Mumbai. How did it pull Mumbai even though we're optimizing it for India? The reason is because down on the bottom, we also list also work in the following cities, Mumbai. So we use the Mumbai. Plus, it knows that that particular vendor happens to be located in Fort Mumbai. So this reseller has that particular advantage. And this is wonderful for the reseller because when somebody types in anti-phishing software, they pull up above the vendors, they pull up against any other resellers, and they're the #1 spot for anti-phishing software in Mumbai. We're going to come over here and type in call center software, Manchester, same concept. This is a reseller that's got his website optimized, that particular landing page optimized, and it's set up for Manchester. So we see the AdWords up here. And so there's that particular reseller. So not only is he on the home page, which is usually quite a challenge, but he's on the first position of the home page. And so now we can actually see that particular reseller. And we can see that he has a website that is optimized for cloud call center software, for your calling center, which happen to be the keywords that the vendor worked with to set up. In addition, he's also got it optimized for Manchester, the city of Manchester. So we're going to see if we were to to look through this, we would see the word Manchester here and even the keywords here. So this page is highly optimized. It's obviously optimized because it's pulling the first position. So now that you can sort of see, this is, if you're a reseller, you want to make sure you get that, because those people who are doing these kind of searches, they're looking for call center software and they happen to be, in Mumbai, Austin, Texas, or Manchester. The browser's going to detect where they're at. And if you're the reseller sitting in that city, you've got an inside track, you might as well use that, because this is the most motivated group that's going to find you. They are hunting for call center software. So let me show you how this is actually set up from a vendor perspective, and even from a reseller, what you would actually do. This is a generic portal site, and these are the general instructions. And so the vendor would actually put their copy in here, the copy for the landing page that the reseller can use. Down here would be the instructions that say, okay, copy this text to a page. If you copy the graphics, notice that the graphics have alt words, keywords behind them. In this particular case, it's financial advisor, financial planning, or whatever it happens to be. It also is optimized for the city. So essentially all the instructions that you would need to do once you copy this over, you want to follow these instructions exactly. That anti-phishing company only showed up on the 3rd page of Google until we went through and showed them that their URL was wrong, that the URL up here had to be, I'll show you, had to be the best anti-phishing software. So they did everything right, except for they did not change the URL for that particular page. This gave them just enough points to push them to the front page, but it actually pulled them to the first position on the front page. So these instructions are golden that you're seeing on this particular page, so follow these exactly. Over here is that call center company, the one that makes call center software. And we can see best cloud call center software for your calling center. And we can see the word city, and the city is laced throughout here. And in this case, for an example, it's turned red. So it's very easy for the partner, if you're the partner, to be able to go through and modify, put your city in there. Now, one of the keys on this is that this is optimized for local searches. So you can't optimize this typically for your whole region. There was one vendor that put Oceania region in there. They were actually out of Fiji, but they also worked in New Zealand and Australia. But Oceania region, not even Google was going to be able to detect what that was. So it was going to give no advantage, and they were not going to show up on the homepage for anything. Maybe for the keywords, but certainly not with a local advantage. They're not going to get those extra points that would push them over the top over their competitors, because they should have used, even if they used Fiji or some city in Fiji or Auckland, New Zealand. So you typically find the area where you want to do the most business. And if you're in the Los Angeles area, let's say you're North Hollywood, you may actually use Los Angeles instead of North Hollywood if that's where most of your business is coming from. Then the other words that you would put on this would be the same way down below here. So you'd put city 1, city 2, city 3, and then here's the instructions on what to do with this. Now, this is assuming that the vendor knows how to create a page that's optimized for the keywords and that they've identified what those keywords are. So over here, I'm pulling in a spreadsheet. This is call center software. So typically what we'll do is we'll find the competitors to the particular company, and we will use some of the tools like SERPstat and some others out there that will allow you to see what are the keywords that are driving the real traffic to those other vendors' websites. Once you find those keywords, you get them all organized according to your Google monthly searches, and then you come down and see which of those are the most relevant. And in this particular case, we came up with calling centers, call center software with the appropriate amount of requests or searches for it. And then we came up with one keyword phrase, cloud call center software for your calling centers. If you use this, does it work? Well, we know it works. Here's the validation over here when you look at this particular vendor right here. So this is sort of the proof that the concepts we're saying that they work. Not only do they work some of the time, they work all of the time. So if you follow the instructions on this page, and if the vendor can create a page that's optimized for the keywords, identify the right keywords, and then all you have to do is take it, replace the city with your city. So it's now optimized both for the keywords, but also optimized for local searches, which the reseller partners have an advantage. then you will end up picking up these leads more so than a vendor and more so than any of your other competitors. And when we saw over here, when it came to CRM, so many, like if I were the person working with the channel manager for a CRM company, I would be pretty disappointed if I had like 10 resellers in Austin, Texas, and not a single one of them were picking up their local searches. They have that advantage, but they're not leveraging that. So this is one of the first things that I always recommend that you do when you set up. Now, this particular copy that you see here for Call Center Studio, this is text-based. So it's very easy for a partner to take this copy, just highlight it, copy it over to their own web page, and then format it and follow the instructions. But you'll see that this one here it was a lot fancier. Where did that come from? Because typically you'll create more of a text-based version. You'll also create a fancy version. So here's one called Fancy Landing Page. This has got one for Spanish, for French, for Georgian. If we come over here to English, we can see that this is the exact same copy that we had before, but now it's been dressed out with some graphics and we've done a better job of the layout. So we made it look a lot fancier, but Google doesn't care about the fanciness. It still pulls all of the copy in there and it gives you the same advantage because this is the fancier page sample that's being used, and it worked just as well as the blank one. We saw that the Ambusher one had a fairly blank, this is like a text-based one. We see over here that Call Center, this particular reseller used the fancy one, but as long as the fancy one has the same copy and everything's all optimized, then that is going to pull the #1 pole position for your location. So again, here's the fancy one, and then you see the other one over there that is the text-based. But then here's the instructions, what you do with this. And then down below is what you do once you've copied it over to your website. If you follow these rules, and if you are a reseller, you will get your local leads. And so in some of those local leads, you get the most qualified prospects searching for your category. And you get the majority of them over the vendor, anything else. So if you're based out of Chicago, Illinois, and you've optimized your website, you could pull in most of the leads for the entire city if you follow this process, which is pretty powerful. If you're the vendor, obviously, if you've got partners scattered throughout the United States or different parts around the world, then everywhere that you've got one of these resellers parked in a city, they've got the inside advantage for that particular city. And so you've stretched out your presence for your SEO everywhere. So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you very much. Bye.